Hey guys, it's Tombox here. Welcome to MST.TV, and I've got an updated deck profile for you guys. It's going to be my Mekk Knights deck profile update, but now they've been kind of teched into becoming more of a Invoked Kaiju Mekk Knights. The main reason for that is the ban list hit the deck pretty hard, so it's unfortunate that you actually can't play the Level Eater, the Grinder Golem maxed out, or even the Gofu is also banned as well. So there's three big cards that were taken out so that you can't just do Skull Dread, dig the entire deck until you have a perfect hand, and then keep going. So in other words, you're not relying on that combo anymore, so we're actually focusing more on a bit more stable play using the Invoked engine to bring out Mechabuzz and the Kaiju engine to actually control your opponent's column so they can actually maximize your searches and bounces and clears. Now this is more of an aggro column control with a bit of OTK element. If your opponent's not really set up for you, you will kill them in one shot because your monsters are just so big. If you guys don't know what Mekk Knights do, well, Mekk Knights, they are a special archetype that most of the monsters are level 7 or level 5 or higher, and they special summon out of the hand into a column with 2 or more cards in the same column. And from there you can get searches, column-based pops, and column control based off of the continuous spells and traps you have. But additional negations will be coming from the Invoke side, and monster removal will be coming from the Kaiju side. So without further ado, let me go into this deck profile, and shoutouts to Imperium, of course, for hooking me up with this mat, which I will give away in the near future, and these beautiful sleeves. They look like the cards are DT, but they're not. It's actually just the sleeve. I actually have a pack right here. Very nice stuff. This sleeve is very nice, especially for extra deck and common cards. Like if you got a common card, man, it looks amazing with a common. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into this profile. So starting off, we have triple purple Nightfall. This is your best searcher in the deck. It acts as a rescue rabbit, also one of the heaviest attackers of your deck. It's only 25 and is a free special summon from the hand. Of course, the special summon method can only be used once per turn per name. Well, this card's actually very useful because it has like a not rescue rabbit, but a wind-up rabbit-like effect where you can tag itself out. But when you tag yourself out, before you come back, you'll actually get yourself a search of another card. Usually it's going to be sky blue. But what happens here is usually you need the column to be empty, so this one will come out and then banish itself, get a search, and then you summon the new card out, and then you'll get even more searches. But this is one of the best cards out there, and you can actually banish your other Mekk Knights too. So you can actually banish another card on your own turn, banish himself during your opponent's turn, and then we come back, you get 2 guys coming back, which is a very like surprise. There's 2 more guys coming back. It's kind of like an Omega. And let's just move on from here. Next we have a pair of Blue Skies. Blue Skies is pretty useful, not very good going first, especially because you can only get your search when your opponent has cards. And since your opponent's not going to have anything when you go first, you're not going to like using this guy, which is why I put him down to 2. If my opponent is competent, they'll know to actually make me go first every time, because there's like a 50-50 chance where I'm actually not able to put anything on board, opening him for a very free swing at my life points, and I really hate that, which is why I kind of cut him down. Whereas the other guy, even on my first turn, I can actually set something up. I would actually tag this guy out to summon out the Indigo Eclipse instead. So that's just my little note here. But usually if you actually use Blue Sky correctly, especially against all these pendulums and whatnot, you can get a double search off of him, which replenishes your hand very, very nicely. And then I run a pair of Indigo Eclipse. This is your column controller. He is the one that actually lets you shift stuff left and right. That's all he does. He has a 24 body, but that's actually more than enough, especially with the continuous spells and traps in the back. You can actually negate a ton of monster effects on the field. And depending on the format, that's where this card is going to be super important, especially if your opponent is really dependent on getting their monster effects through. Yeah, it's going to be really nice, especially against a Spiral. Spirals are still a top tier deck. They were second place at the recent regionals that happened, and there's also Trick Stars. There's tons of decks out there, and you just want to stun them with a simple card like this. And these big bodies do matter because it shortens like the life point reach by a lot. And this last Mekk Knight here, Yellow Star, is just a tech. I don't think I would use this outside of my own local, just because popping back row is so popular. But just bear in mind to keep track of the stats of these monsters. He has a 28 body. One typical misplays to put him in attack mode just to go for the extra bit of damage. I don't think that's necessary. The 28 body can actually keep you alive sometimes, because 28 is actually pretty big, and this is also the column-based MST. You can use Red Moon for the column-based monster pop, but yeah, again, it's by preference. If it was up to me, when the special eds come out, get the vanilla. The vanilla is actually very useful to go into a Link Spider, and once the Link Spider is there, you can actually just set a spell trap, and then you can actually summon some dudes out, which is pretty nice. It just opens the gate of special summoning for this entire deck. Now we have the Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. This is just the Blue Boy Searcher. We have a pair of Alistairs for the Invoked engine. You just need a pair. Just search out Invocation. Now for the Kaijus, I run Gamasio, Jizukiru, and Kumongus. Why these three? It's just because, well, Kaiju's Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is now limited, so might as well run the three that you can actually run over. Whereas this one, there's another thing about the Kaijus that are pretty useful, is that you can actually revive them with the Continuous Trap, the Mekk Knight one, or the World Legacy Secrets. And reviving a big-ass Jizukiru out of nowhere can actually steal a game off of your opponent. And remember, you're going for the all-out aggression. You're about to do board breaking and then kill your opponent. That's what this deck is about. And also, putting this in the correct column is a super huge thing. Don't misplay that, because if you misplay the column placement, usually you want this in front of an extra monster zone, or the extra monster zone, so that you can actually bounce it back with a Akashic. Just remember that. That's very crucial sometimes. And now we have a triple Ash Blossom because it's just needed in the format. I don't really need to explain this. I'm running double Ogre action, want to up one more because it's one of the best ways to deal with Electromite. You don't want them to actually get that Astrograph back to their hand and get that pop. So the moment they actually put the Astrograph into the extra deck is the moment you want to pop it before they actually get that extra draw. And then now into the spells. That basically kind of counts for most of my cards. I'm playing Mind Control. I'm actually just testing it out. It was not too bad. It was fun to pull apart Inspector borders. They were pretty annoying. But then once you link it off, and you can actually manage. That's not too bad. But I'm actually preferring the other card right now. I kind of want to cut this for Instant Fusion. There's so many instances where I really enjoyed Instant Fusion, and the monster, my main monster target is actually Thousand Eyes Restrict. Thousand Eyes Restrict can set up the column so that you can actually get your special summon out, and then because Thousand Eyes Restrict would pop himself, you can just get rid of him by linking it off into, say, a Link Karibo, and then you're good to go again. One Slumber for board wipe and setting up columns. Make sure that you put your Kaiju not in the same column as your opponent's Kaiju, and that's all I have to say about that. Just don't make that misplay. We have one Monster Reborn because Monster Reborn is back. Soul Chart is still pretty nutty. Remember, you can revive all your fusions. You can revive all your big dudes. Just suppress the board, really, if you can get that far. Yeah. Anyways, one Raigeki for more board wiping. You're all about the board clears. A pair of Terraformings to set up the Magical Meltdown. And speaking of Magical Meltdown, here's the Magical Meltdown. You're gonna get ashed a lot, and I realize that getting ash hurts a lot. You have to choose the direction that you want to play, and that's actually the biggest point in this deck that I want to make, is that sometimes you know that your opponent is going to have an ash. Which side can you actually afford to eat the ash? If you have a ton of Mekk Knights, the worst card to actually lose onto an Ash is actually Blue Sky, because Blue Sky will actually eat up that zone that you want to special summon into, and that's actually pretty bad. Whereas, just remember that the order really matters in terms of what you summon out, because you want to actually be able to free out that zone as much as possible. Anyways, onto the other point here, we have a pair of Invocations. We have Spellbook of Secrets to get our draw engine, and I'm actually only running a pair of Spellbook of Knowledge. I want to increase it, but I don't know how I feel about getting ashed. Right now, getting ashed is one of the worst feelings, especially if you open a huge engine that's just super dependent on getting the Spellbook of Knowledge to go through. Yeah, it doesn't exactly work out too well every time. Anyways, that's kind of why I cut it down. And here I have World Legacy Keys. I'm currently trying a pair. World Legacy Key is pretty useful, especially when you use Invocation, banishing one guy in your graveyard. So you link something off and you go into that. World Legacy Keys will let you get back that monster that you banished. So that's actually pretty neat, and all the traps will start to be negated. So it actually screws your opponent over because you're always going to summon into something with the same column. So with World Legacy Key, you're going to be able to like, oh, special summon dude onto the field. Like, you better have a counter trap or else that trap's not going to work anymore. That's actually a pretty neat thing to do. And I'm running triple World Legacy Secret just because World Legacy Secret is your Call to Haunted and can revive your Mechabuzz, can revive, well, all your Mekk Knights, and even your Kaijus. This is the option giver, which I really, really enjoy because especially if you revive it with this dude here, you actually get 2 monster negations on the field, which is, say they summon out, I don't know, Spiral Drone, and then you chain this card, and then you summon in front of it, and then you stun it. Okay, so that first thing is negated, and so you actually have a back row of some sort, and they want to pop this, say with a Spiral Agent or whatever, then you can just put this in front of the zone where it actually matters, and you can actually stop them. That's just a really fun thing to do with it. But yeah, that basically covers the entire main deck. Let's go into the extra deck. The extra deck, it's kind of neat. Of course, you have the boss monster. I guess I'll start with the boss here. We have Mekk Knight Spectrum Supreme. Now, Spectrum Supreme, just remember to use him when your opponent is 3,000 or below. I actually misplayed this card because I didn't read him. I actually underestimated this card a lot because I'm like, why do I want to bother with just one dude, especially when he doesn't want to be like linked off with anything because he loses his protection. But I realized that he's just a 3k beater that can attack directly, and that's all I should have really cared for, and his innate protection makes it very easy to do so. And the Kaijus can actually set it up too, because say your opponent has like something in front of you, well, you just Kaiju to move it aside, and then you can actually get that direct attack. Remember to do that, because my misplay was I forgot about it. But remember, one thing is that if you have a back row behind it, you're not going to be able to do a direct attack because you also control another card in the same column. Only when the whole column is empty can you do that direct attack. So that is actually quite crucial. And remember that he can also send something that you control in the same column to actually special summon out another Mekk Knight out of the deck. Yeah. I completely forgot about that. I forgot that he can actually send the same column, including your spells and traps, so just keep that in mind. Anyways, that's the first guy. Let's go into the fusions first, aside from like the boss. We have Thousand Eyes Restrict. I would say he single-handedly won me, I don't know, 2-3 games, just because he set up the combo where I can go first. I instant fusion, he's like, oh, let me go first. Instant fusion, get this guy out, link it off to a Linkuriboh, set a card, and then you can keep going. So instant fusion is quite important. I also have Purgatrio for massive damage. You want to wipe the board. Once you get them to commit enough cards onto the field, Purgatrio wipe the board, and then all your dudes are like 2k plus. I don't think they're going to live for very much longer. And a pair of Mechabuzz. Fair enough. And Purgatrio is very easy since everyone's running Ash. Anyone that's competitive anyways. I have one of these with the side deck, which is for my, what was it? For my Reapers. But I kind of want to switch out to Electrum. I'm actually trying to shrink down my extra deck, to be honest. I have one Linkuriboh, one Proxy Dragon, mainly for the mind control thing. Might switch this out because it's really just the body right now. Underclock Taker has been another piece of OTK combo because usually I have a pretty big beater that's behind it. And lowering something to 0 attack is basically a free win. Akashic for Kaiju bounces and perhaps my own bounces. Or if you choose to run Grinder Golem, then you have to run this card anyway. Decode Talker just because it's an option. I'm running Topologic because it was a leftover from the Grinder Golem. I don't think I need this card anymore in particular. Now for my final remarks, weaknesses, hand traps. Ashing you at the right time hurts a lot. Like if you're really bricked and your opponent decides to go, I'm just gonna ash your, I don't know, your invoker summon or whatever, and then you're not able to get a invocation, you could be relying on that invocation to actually set onto the field to actually get your summon, and therefore actually kind of interrupt your whole turn. So hand traps still hurt a lot, And I can't emphasize that enough. But remember, if your opponent's down to 3k, use this guy to do a direct attack. He can clear his own column. Kaijus can clear your opponent's column to get that free swing. It's pretty neat, actually. You want to keep these boys on the field as much as possible because they are your advantage cards, and of course if you can back it with a secret, that'd be nice. Remember, the secrets can revive almost any monster in your graveyard except for this big boy, and Mekaba is your best way of negating spells. Try to hold it for spells, but remember, hand traps again is a super great way of actually destroying your stuff. Luckily, you can actually try to dodge most things with the purple Nightfall because you can use the whole wind up rabbit effect. But aside from that, just remember that ghost Ogies are gonna hurt, ashes are gonna hurt, so you always need to know which one to actually bait out first in order to maximize your play and actually hold the board. Oh, another weakness: if your opponent's monsters are actually bigger than yours, you have a problem because you're gonna have a tough time running them over, as I'm not running the field spell. But that is all I got. I tried to do the turbo field spell before. Didn't work out very well because it's very hard to put 8 different names into the graveyard unless you're playing grass, and even if you're playing grass, it's not easy to actually hit all the names at once. Yeah, that part really sucks. If someone actually figured out how to actually put 8 dudes into the graveyard consistently, tell me about it, because that stuff would have been tier 1 degenerate already. But luckily it's not, so that's really the format's very fun, very diverse. So that's all I got for this video today. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, I'm going to try to do more of these profiles as they come up. But for now, I'm going to do this one as I acquire the cards slowly. I'm not like a sponsored player or anything. I'm just acquiring them for my own pleasure, I guess. But yeah, once again, more of these cards I will definitely show you guys, and I'll show you different deck profiles, especially the ones that are meta. And we'll have a new meta list come out for the recent regionals and what are the top decks currently, and what are the cards currently being played. So what do you need for your side deck? But anyways, aside from that, if you guys enjoyed it, thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.